Every business owner should ask themselves this question before they actually grow and scale their business. If you're going to go on this journey of building a business in the coaching space, in the entrepreneur space, in the agency space, in the done for you service space, or any of that stuff, you need to really think about if it actually were to come true and if it were actually to scale to the levels that you want it to, do you really want to do that? And how does that look? Because I've had a lot of clients over the past 3 to 4 years, after we've scaled them, they realized that they weren't as happy and they weren't really fulfilled. They just were looking at the money side of things. Now, look, I'm all about money. I'm all about generating revenue. In fact, we live on an economic planet, as Grant Cardone says. And so it's super important that we do generate income, do generate profits, and grow businesses. That's how this world actually works. But you need to do some reflection, as I've had to do that reflection, to see is if we actually hit those numbers and KPIs, would your life actually change? Is it going to be the same thing that made you get started with this business in the first place? Was it always just chasing a number? Look, when I tell you when we go from 0 to 6 figures, it's all about the skill set. It's all about trying to figure out what we have is actually going to work. When we go to 6 to 7 figures, it's, hey, it worked. Now I duplicated it across a process or across people or virtual assistants that have allowed me to then help other people make an impact. Then when it goes from 7 to 8 figures, it's all about developing those leaders beneath you. And if you don't grow up along with those requirements that are needed in the business, you may not even be happy. And I've ran into that at certain points in my come up and certain points in my relationship, but it's also identifying your personality. If you're an analytical person, if you're a driver, if you are a social person, like you like to talk to a lot of people, or if you're someone that doesn't want to rock the boat, those are all 4 different personality types that are important that you understand, because the person that can take a business from 6 figures to 7 figures isn't always the person that can take a business from 7 to 8 figures. Okay. Now that 7 to 8 figure mark, there's a transformation that needs to happen. So it's not that as soon as you hit 7 figures, 8 figures is going to make you any happier, any less happy, or any of that kind of stuff. It's more so just, are you willing to go on the journey of becoming the person that can actually build the business from 7 to 8 figures? What are you willing to sacrifice? Is it people? Is it even team members that you had around you during that time that are no longer going to serve you and serve the mission of going to 8 figures or 7 figures, wherever you're at in the process? Every single level up requires you to look inward, look at in the inventory that you have and the assets that you have around you, whether that's people, relationships, or even the things that you've accumulated, and then be able to see, would you be able to actually sacrifice that to get to the next level? And is that even worth it, right? Some people, even including myself, at some points in their business, when they scaled it to a certain level, it didn't really provide any different level of fulfillment. It just kind of validated some of the ego that you may have had as an entrepreneur. And one of my mentors recently had told me is that if you are where you are now and you know where you want to be, typically a mentor or someone that you meet or a mastermind that you join is supposed to help you become the version of you that you believe that you are, instead of being stuck in the version that you think that you are based off the surroundings that you're in. I'm going to repeat that. My mentor had told me the reason why him and I are partnering up on some businesses right now is because his role, or the role that that person is playing in the life that I'm living right now, is to take me from one version of myself in which that I believe that I am and that I know that I am, but isn't necessarily reciprocated in other areas of life because it takes a while to build some of that stuff, and to pull me forward into that version that I already believe that I am. And if you don't have someone like that, or if you don't have the introspect or the actual surroundings of encouraging you to transform, then you're going to be complacent. If you're complacent at 6 figures, or you're complacent at 7 figures, then you're not going to go to the next level. And in fact, the business is going to decline. And if the business is going to decline because you're not growing, then that means that the business is going to decline. The customers are actually probably going to drop off. They may even do chargebacks and stuff like that. And then what you had spent your life building and having your identity in may or may not even be what fulfills you of going to that next level. And so I encourage you to look inwards as if this is something that you're actually going to build, whether it's, again, an agency or whatever the business model is that you're doing. Is it something that's actually worth it? And if you did hit the numbers and targets that you wanted to do, is that going to change your life? Are you willing to go through the growth? Are you willing to go through the changes? And before you grow any business, before you scale to the next level, I really recommend that you ask yourselves those questions and take some time to think about it.